Would you like him? Because I think they're going to need help on the wide receiving core with this team. They presumably going to lose Smith-Schuster and Washington, and he's a good guy to have. He's a veteran guy who I think can really help all those guys around him.
I mean, I would love it. I think he's an exceptional locker room guy. There was a video circulating about him excoriating younger Browns wide receivers in the meeting room as to why they had to work harder. Just an unbelievably well-respected guy as far as what he brings in that sense. An absolute blood and guts warrior out there in terms of how he plays the game. I mean, if you like the way Juju played physically, that's what Landry is. He played through a ton of injuries this year. But truth be told, Bob, if you're Jarvis Landry and you're starting to get up there in years and you play a pretty hard style of football, why would you want to come to the Pittsburgh Steelers if you want to chase a championship?
Well, unless it's a money thing. You know, I'm not sure. They saved like $14.8 million on the cap with him. I don't know how much it would cost or, you know, what other teams would be looking for. I know there are opportunities here, and he certainly could, you know, even if it's an incentive-based kind of deal. I don't know how much money will be the, you know, number one issue with him or not. In the meantime, we have the Trubisky train, which has stopped at Station Square, and a lot of people have gotten off on it. So let's see what they have to say. Ron in Johnstown. What's up, Ron? How are you?
Good, good. Yeah, I want to comment on Trubisky. I think all they did was they signed either a career backup or a journeyman quarterback, and we already have two on the list right now on the team. And I think what I would have did is the way the dominoes are falling, the way these other teams are grabbing quarterbacks, I think Pittsburgh could have either traded up or even where they're going to be, they could have got a chance to get one of these young quarterbacks.
They still might.
One of these young quarterbacks, and then you get them on a 5-year contract. I mean, you got a 5-year contract on them, and yeah,
which is why I don't think the Trubisky contract.
Journeyman quarterback.
But it's 2 years. To me, if he exceeds what he's supposed to exceed, he'll get paid for it, and they'll be better off for it. At least it'll help them. I don't dismiss at all the notion that they won't sign or draft a quarterback this year or next. And it could be in the second round this year. Who knows how they're thinking. But they're eventually going to want somebody to come in here and be the long-term answer. I don't think it's him. But in the meantime, Chris, I mean, he gives you a little bit of that so-called bridge opportunity. And if it works out, fine. And if it doesn't, hopefully there'll be somebody else along the road who can come in and be that guy.
They're paying 3 quarterbacks right now. All of them, Trubisky's getting the most, and his money is like elite backup money. That kind of tells you what all 3 of these guys are. What are they going to do, Bob? Put them in like a trench coat together, all 3 of them, try to put them in a blender and come out with the best attributes of each? Maybe the raw arm strength of Haskins, maybe the deep ball touch of Rudolph, Trubisky's legs. See if they can't get themselves a workable quarterback that way by doing a little splicing.
But don't you think they could draft someone still? Would it surprise you?
Sure, I think they could draft Willis. Somebody made a compelling argument today. I want to say it was a caller, maybe it was a media guy that Pony and I were talking about or reading a tweet of or something like that. But Willis is the one that now would make sense, and here's why. If you draft Kenny Pickett, now that you've taken, let's say, Mitch Trubisky's your starter, and then you draft Pickett, well, what's the point there? Pickett's ready to start right now is kind of the thing you hear about from most scouts. He might not have a super high ceiling, but he's going to come in for a team and very possibly start from day one. That would make it more likely to me that they then try to get Malik Willis because he's an obvious project. You might need him to sit for a year and maybe part of a second year before you're really comfortable. So Mitch Trubisky would make more sense there. I actually don't know if they're going to get anybody. I wouldn't bet on them drafting anybody. I think they're going to try to do that next year.
Well, either or. I mean, this is a 2-year deal, so it doesn't bog them down in any way. Let's go to Tom, who joins us in Plum. Hey, Tom, how are you?
Hi, Bob and Chris. Nice calling. I appreciate you having me on.
Sure.
I'm sure I've heard you're both divided on Mitch, so I'm not going to touch on that. When do you think that Coach Tomlin and Kevin Colbert were done on Mason, and why do you think they waited until just about now to try to make a move for a QB to replace Ben?
Well, I don't think I think they had him in mind for a while. I also don't know that this means Mason is done. At $7 million, that money to me, Chris, is far less than I thought. I wouldn't expect $20 million a year for Trubisky, but I was thinking more of the lines of 12 to 15. When I found out it was 7, it made me realize that maybe they're just going to let this thing play out in camp, I guess, and see how it goes.
I mean, I'd be shocked if that's the case. Otherwise, Trubisky, in my opinion, since he didn't get a ton of money, would have just gone to the Giants where Dable is now and competed with Daniel Jones. This, to me, is a tacit sign that Mitch Trubisky was told he's going to be the starter. And I know Jerry Dulac tweeted something to the effect that Mason Rudolph's status with the team has not changed, but I would be gobsmacked if Rudolph is given a legitimate chance to win the starting job. I think that's off the table.
Well, again, though, did you expect $7 million a year for him? I didn't.
Let me put it this way. I'm very happy that it wasn't any more. And actually, as the day went on and you didn't hear a dollar figure attached, just 2 years, I did start to think that the number was going to be favorable for the team, because as everybody now seems to know, if that dollar figure gets out there, it's the player's agent leaking it because they want to show everybody what a great job they did. If there is no dollar figure, you can start to assume that maybe the player didn't make out so well. Like Mitch Trubisky's deal with max incentives reached is probably what I think a lot of people thought he was going to get. I will give the Steelers credit for one thing. They got him for a much, much more reasonable price.
Rick in Pittsburgh joins us right now on Bordas and Bordas Hotline. Go ahead, Rick. How are you?
Hello?
Yes, you're on, Rich.
Oh, Rick. Okay. Hey, Bob and Chris, two powerful minds in the sports world. Keep your minds healthy because I really appreciate y'all. The situation is, I agree with Chris on starting Rudolph and using that $7 million in other place. Then I just feel that they should put Rudolph in there because Rudolph needs more experience, on the field to be developed as a better quarterback. And
well, Rick, let me clarify something, Rick. Rick, I will say this. I want Rudolph to start, and I didn't feel they needed to get Trubisky because I think those two guys are, all things considered, redundant with each other. I know they're different types of players. I think you and I sort of agree there, but I don't want Rudolph to get, starters time because I think it's going to turn him into something special. I want Rudolph to get starters time because, to me, if point A is the Steelers in 2022 and point B is their next quarterback of the future, the shortest distance to get there is to have Mason Rudolph pilot the old ship to 5 or 6 wins so that you don't have to take too much draft capital to find your next star at the position.
We're due for a break. We'll take it right now. More calls on the way. It's 412-575-2600 right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.